Self-development realizations that nobody's talking about. So I decided to make today's video. It's going to be a relatively short one, but I really wanted to give you a little bit of my thoughts as I'm having a little bit of retrospect on my own self-development journey. So I'm just going to keep the intro short and sweet, and let's get right into it. You don't have to actually agree with me, but here are my thoughts. Number one, being nobody is the easiest thing in the world. So every time you level up, or every time you go on a self-development journey, or every time you actually make it and you have something better going on for yourself and for your life, the first thing people hit you with is the whole argument of, oh, you don't understand, like, it's so hard to be me, it's so hard to be a nobody. And I just can't help but think that actually it's not. Being a nobody is the easiest thing in the world, because to be a nobody, you have to do absolutely nothing. And doing absolutely nothing is the easiest thing in the world. People are suffering because the result of doing nothing is being a nobody, and they don't like that result. It's hard to feel like you're a nobody. It's very difficult. But the act of getting there, which is doing nothing, is the easiest thing in the world. The problem with people who think like that is simply the fact that they assume that everybody who has something better going on for their lives, or that they're successful, or that they're doing better, or that they have more, that they were also doing nothing, but the distribution system of success chose them and now they have everything, and they are unfortunately not chosen and they continue to suffer and being nobodies. But it just isn't the case. My second point is also something I talk about it a lot in my book, and it's a realization that I had about myself, but also about, you know, other people, observing people around me, and it's the fact that people recognize you only when you've made it, not when you have won. So think about it this way: if you are on a journey where you want to lose kilos and you are saying, my goal is to lose 15 kilos, people will only recognize you when you've lost those 15 kilos and you've had, like, let's say, holistic transformation that's like so obvious and so hard to ignore, and they're gonna recognize you for it. But those 2 kilos at the end of every month is a win. And nobody is going to clap for you, which is so important to just recognize those wins and just clap for yourself every single time, because there's no other way. I say it like a million times in my book, but you will be literally winning way before people recognize you for it. My third point is another thing that I talk a lot about in my book, and it's the fact that we have to really look into things and understand if we're after the thing or after the label. So a lot of times when people go on a self-development journey, or they want to change their lives, they have some sort of goal, and that goal could be either on a professional level, on a personal level, on a romantic level, whatever that might be. And it usually sounds like, for example, I want to be an entrepreneur that is a 6-figure earner, or I want to be a stay-at-home wife, or I want to date this X-man with X lifestyle, right? Well, there's a catch. A lot of times, people are not after the thing. They're just after the label. So if I take the example of entrepreneurship, if you say, I want to be an entrepreneur that's a 6-figure earner, the reality of it is that this kind of thing comes with many hours of work, comes with a lot of stress. It also comes with times that there is no personal time, and another like set of sacrifices. And so many times people are like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to work that much, or like, I don't want to be constantly under stress. So basically, you don't want to be an entrepreneur that is a 6-figure earner. You just want the title, you want the money, but you don't want the entrepreneurship and the journey. Like, these are two very, very different things. And the same goes for more personal things. For example, a woman that says, I want to be a stay-at-home wife, right? Perfect. You want to be a stay-at-home wife? I'm right there with you. But then they become stay-at-home wives, and they stay at home for like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then they're like, yeah, but I don't want to do just that. I don't want to just look after the household. I want to do this and that, and the next thing. which is absolutely fine to want all that, but it also means that you don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. You just want to not have to deal with the stress and financial hardship and many other things, but you don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. You want the title and the benefits. These are two entirely different things. So none of it is bad, but I just feel like it's very important when you start your self-development journey to really recognize if it is that you want the thing, or is it that you're after just a label? Next point is that conformity is defensible. So when you go on your leveling up journey, on your self-development journey, you have to know that people will literally come for you. Every time you will try to do better for yourself, every time you will try to do different for yourself, there will always be somebody, either at your inner circle or like people you just meet, acquaintances. Somebody is always going to try to challenge you for changing. Somebody is going to try to challenge you and tell you, why are you doing things differently? Why you are acting differently? Maybe you should go back to your old ways and do things like you used to. Because if everybody is doing the same thing, then it must be the right thing to do, right? Conformity is defensible. It's the easiest argument ever. But if you're asking me, the answer to that is, yes, everybody's doing the right thing and maybe that's right for them, but I don't want the life that everybody has. And so since I want a life that is different than everybody else's, I choose to do things differently than everybody else. And so I think it is very, very important when you are on a self-development journey to really have a very strong why. Why are you trying more? Why are you doing things differently? Why are you talking differently, acting differently, dressing differently? Why is it that you're doing all those things? So every time that somebody tries to challenge you and challenge your journey and your choices, you remind yourself of your why. Why are you doing this? Next one is that you don't have a confidence problem, you have an actions problem. Oh, but I'm not confident, I cannot do that, oh, I don't know how, oh, what if I fail, oh, this life isn't made for me, oh, people like me don't do things like that or don't have a life like this. It just isn't true. The problem is that most people end up thinking that confidence is something that you either have or you don't have. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Confidence is essentially your ability to accurately predict the result of your actions, of your efforts. So in my book, I talk about it and I take the very simple example of baking bread. So if you love baking bread and you bake bread very often, you are very confident about baking bread because you have baked bread so many times that you are now confident that ingredients 1, 2, 3 plus baking time X makes an amazing bread. And so you are very confident about it. You're very confident that the bread is going to be magnificent. But at the same time, you might not be confident when it comes to public speaking. That's not because you are not confident when it comes to public speaking, it's because you haven't done enough of public speaking to be able to predict the result, to be able to predict that it's going to be a good speech, that people are going to like it, that they're going to be interested in it. So you don't have a confidence problem, you have an actions problem because you haven't done the thing that you're afraid of enough times in order to be able to predict the results. And the reason why people don't do that is because they are afraid of the discomfort of the journey, of all the times they're actually going to get it wrong. But guess what? Even when you were baking bread, you got it wrong a million times. And then you just got it right once. And that was enough to replicate the success a million more times. This principle applies to pretty much anything in life. You just need to do it enough times and you need to fail enough times so you get it right once. You just need to get it right once. So please, I implore you, get out of your head. You don't need to think about your confidence more. You just need to do more. Last but not least, I think one of the things that nobody talks about or it isn't talked enough is the hardship. So I don't know if it's because of social media or because we have developed this type of culture that it's not acceptable to talk about all of the times you failed, and it's just acceptable to talk about all of the times that you did amazingly and everything went great. But I think we need to start saying it like it is. I feel like with social media, we end up seeing, you know, the highlights of people's lives when they've already made it, when they're already at the top, that so many times we omit the journey to get there. And that journey is not necessarily an easy one. We also tend to romanticize the process, but not in a healthy way. We romanticize it in a way that we're just expecting success all at once, that we do not anticipate failure because we've thought about it and we manifested it and we're so sure about it, and we just look at it in a way that is just not realistic, and then we end up getting very much disappointed. So we don't have the courage and the force and the confidence to just get at it again. I am all about romanticizing life, and I'm all about romanticizing our goals and our expectations, but I think we need to do it in a way that we romanticize the journey and not the result. We need to do it in a way that we say, you know what, I'm gonna try. I know that I'm not gonna get it right at once. I know that I'm probably gonna have a few failures, but so what? I'm gonna try anyways because I love this and I wanna try it and I'm passionate about it. So I think that's a much better way to approach it. When I started my self-development journey, I remember that I was just looking, and I'm talking about in everything, right? In relationships, in entrepreneurship, in career, in like personal things. I was just looking at people around me and I was like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? All of these people seem to get it right. They seem to be happy. They seem to have everything they've ever wanted. They seem to just strike once and just get it right. And I just couldn't fathom what was wrong with me. So here's what I figured out, and trust me, I still have a very long way to go, but from my small experience and my journey, what I figured out is that all those people were exactly like me in the beginning. There is nobody that has this sort of like faith or like self-belief that they never cry, or that they never get scared, or that they never feel like, oh my God, I failed, maybe I'm not good enough. Everybody goes through that journey. People just don't talk about it because when they end up getting, you know, what it is that they want to get, they just feel happy, they want to share the how and the knowledge and show it. But trust me, everybody goes through that. Every single person. Everybody says they're going to do something and then they end up not doing it. Everybody says they're going to start something and it's going to be a huge hit, and then they do it and it's a huge flop. Everybody cries. Everybody feels desperate. Every single person. But the mindset towards this should be, so what? Nowadays, people, and especially young people, they don't do things, not necessarily because they can't do things, but because they're so afraid of this whole idea of like, oh my God, what if it goes wrong? So what if it goes wrong? I respect you for doing it. I respect you for trying. And by the way, all those people that you see on the internet or around you, and they have succeeded, these are not people that tried and they didn't fail. It's people like you that they tried, they failed, and they just had the courage to just try it one more time and one more time until they actually got it right. So I really think we need to talk more about hardship in self-development, not in the way that we should discourage people on taking on this exciting journey, but more so in terms of like being realistic about it and telling people what it actually looks like it. So when hardship or obstacles come their way, they don't feel like they're going through it alone or it's just them struggling, because it's not just you, I promise. At the end of the day, the truth is that the failure is the journey and the success is just the reward for going through it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me and it really does help my channel a lot. You're also going to find all my links and all of my socials in my description box. You will also find all my resources, including my book that I mentioned in today's video. It's called A High Value Woman, so you can find the link for that in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next week. Some ants break.